Od.
Welcome to News Headlines. I'm Richmond Cruz with Charms Espina. Here are the top stories. Joint Task Force Ranao will spearhead reconstruction and rehabilitation efforts in war-torn Marawi City. Government operatives arrest a suspected Mauti ISIS financer in Quezon City. The provincial exodus for the annual remembrance of the dead starts. President Rodrigo Duterte officially appoints retired AFP Chief Eduardo Año as Undersecretary of the Department of Interior and Local Government. Damage assessment in 49 barangays in war-torn Marawi City has been completed, and the AFP says rebuilding of the battle-damaged structures will soon start, with engineering brigades of the major military branches leading the rehabilitation work. Rocky Ignacio reports.
The Joint Task Force Ranao will spearhead the rehabilitation and reconstruction of Marawi City to immediately bring back normalcy in the area. In the Bagong Marawi briefing in Malacanang, AFP spokesperson Restituto Padilla said that the engineering brigades from the Philippine Army, Philippine Navy, and Philippine Air Force will start rehabilitating damaged structures in the war-torn city. The damage assessment had been finished in 49 barangays in Marawi City.
So Ranao, under Brigadier General Rosoler Morillo, the head of the 1st Infantry Division, located in Pagadian and previously headed by now the Commanding General of the Army, Lieutenant General Bautista, is taking over everything in Marawi itself. And under Joint Task Force Ranao will be 3 big composite engineering battalions coming from the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy that will be the steady partners of our other agencies who are tasked to help in the road back to normalcy and in the rebuilding, rehabilitation, and reconstruction of the city.
Meantime, the AFP considered an isolated case the video showing a captive terrorist mauled by soldiers in the main battle area. Padilla explained that the AFP will investigate the incident, saying that they will not allow any abuse in human rights. At the same time, Padilla appealed for understanding for the apparent high emotions against their captive, who believed to be as one of those responsible in the killings of many soldiers and residents in Marawi City.
He was being taunted, and some could not hide their emotions, perhaps because he was believed to be part of the enemy who killed some of our soldiers. And we're not sure yet when and how this came out, and when it was taken. But what is certain there is we will need to launch an investigation to ascertain the veracity of this video, as well as ascertain who are involved. The armed forces is very strict regarding the treatment of captives in a conflict situation. They are supposed to be decently treated and respected, and which did not happen in this case.
The AFP official also encouraged public not to share, instead delete the said video that might be used for propaganda by the enemies of the state.
Sana meron kayong mga ganitong mga hawak ngayon ng mga video, i-delete na lang po natin at huwag na natin ipasa. Ang mas malaki pong implikasyon nito ay maaring gamitin ito sa propaganda ng kalaban. Yung propaganda na yon ay parang hibukin ng iba na nakita nyo, ganito tinatrato yung kasabahan nyo, labanan nyo uli ang mga dapat labanan. So, hindi po natin gusto mangyari yan. At makakatulong ang bawat mamamayan sa mga pagkakataong ito sa pag-delete ng mga video na ito. At huwag nyo na pong ipasa.
Padilla added that termination of military operations in Marawi does not mean the end of terror threats in the country. President Rodrigo Duterte earlier said that public should remain alert and vigilant against the danger that will bring by the so-called lone wolf or possibly suicide bomber or a car bomb.
Yung mga pangalan na nariyan sa mga arrest order na yan dahil sila'y at large, sila yung mga banta at sila yung maaaring pagmulan ng mga tinatawag ni Rose na at ng mahal na Pangulo na lone wolf attacks. So that is why it is very important and it is critical. Napaka-importante po yung samahan natin dito bilang isang bansa. Kailangan magkaisa tayo kasi hindi biro ang banta ng terorismo. Maswerte tayo ngayon, wala pang nangyayari tulad ng nangyari sa gitnang silangan at sa Europa dito sa ating bansa. Dahil sa palagay namin, mainam na nagtutulungan ng bawat Pilipino. So kung tayo ay magkakaisa dito sa bagay na ito, malayo ang mararating natin upang bantayan ang ating bansa laban sa banta ng terorismo.
Rocky Ignacio for The Nation.
The manhunt for suspected members of the Mauti-ISIS terrorist group yields yet another big catch. In Quezon City, government operatives arrested Rasdi Malawani, believed to be a terrorist financier. He was presented by the police to the media, as we hear in this report.
Alleged financier of multi-terrorist group was arrested in an operation conducted by the Quezon City Police District Special Operations Unit. He was identified as Rasdi Malawani, 42 years old, currently residing in Greenfields 1 subdivision in Novaliches. Authorities said that right after multi-matriarch Farhana was captured, Malawani took charge of the businesses in Quezon City she left, including the one in Salam Bazaar in the Novaliches Plaza Mall. The money collected from stall owners inside the bazaar was allegedly regularly remitted to Marawi City and received by a certain Azeza Makabangkit Maute alias Lily, who is the wife of Madi Maute, one of the chief architects who drew up the Marawi siege.
Based on the seized documents or receipt, umaabot ng 270,000 or 300,000 ng monthly remittance na pinapadala niya. Noong una, undetermined na pinapadalan, pero iba kay Lily. Even after, ito yung after that Farhana was arrested.
Okay, sir.
Seized from Malawani was an unlicensed 45 caliber pistol along with 5 rounds and an assault rifle with grenade launcher. An illegal possession of firearms and explosive charges now filed against Malawani, and should he be proven guilty as sympathizer of the multi-terrorist group, he will also be charged with rebellion. Meanwhile, though terrorism is a worldwide threat, Albayalde asserted that so far there is no such case, especially here in the Metro Manila.
Genuine threat, but again, we would like to make clear that there is no clear or present or imminent danger of any terror attack here in Metro Manila. Metro Manila remains peaceful. No, we are ready, very much ready, to receive yung mga foreign delegates and the leaders this upcoming 31st ASEAN Summit.
Police continue to be vigilant in their monitoring to determine those people who supported the Maute group in spreading turmoil in Marawi City. Kenneth Pasyente for The Nation.
Though Marawi City had been recaptured and declared officially liberated from terrorist hands, sympathizers and elements loyal to the radical jihadists are committed to taking up the cause and spreading terror in the towns near the just liberated Maranao capital. An abduction of one of the barangay captains in Lanao del Sur town, who was known to have no enemies, was pulled off in broad daylight by suspected terrorist elements. The details in this report from PTV's Alan Francisco.
A chairperson in Barangay Lumbayan, Nagi in Sagyaran, Lanao del Sur, near Marawi City was abducted by armed men. The barangay captain was identified as Rowaida Alawi. According to Sagyaran Police Chief Inspector Bayan Riponte, past 1 in the afternoon of October 25, when Alawi was about to go home with his adopted daughter, when 4 armed men alighted from a Tamaraw FX and abducted them.
Simula na mangyari sir, hanggang ngayon, hindi pa nag-contact yung mga abductors. So abduction na yung report on abduction na kasi wala pang 5 hanggang ngayon. Yun nga pinagtataka namin sir. Bakit nawala tapos hanggang ngayon hindi pa nag-contact yung nagkuha sa kanila. So ngayon sir, lumalabas na pangalan pero binabalitit pa rin talaga namin.
According to the son of the victim, they don't know any enemy of their mother.
Sa totoo lang, wala kaming idea. Wala kaming alam. Kaya nakipag-cooperate na lang kami sa PNP para sakaling matulungan nila kami.
Meanwhile, Reponte recalled that last January, the barangay captain told them that somebody was trying to extort money from her for an unknown reason. The police headquarters is also not ruling out greed of Muslims as the reason for the abduction. Reponte also clarifies that the Marawi crisis is not connected in any way to the armed men. However, they are still implementing strict security as part of martial law against terrorism and other crimes.
During sa asid, sir, actually medyo dito may threat din kasi malapit kasi sa Marawi. Entrance exit point ng ito ng Marawi.
He also calls on Sagyaran residents to report to authorities immediately any suspicious persons or objects, like a car that does not have any plate number, like what the armed group used in abducting the barangay captain. Residents may call the number 0998-967-4658. Together with RJ Guevara, I am Alan Francisco for The Nation, Sagyaran, Lanao del Sur.
Province-bound passengers for the Days of the Dead holidays have learned their lesson the hard way over the years. Be early in buying your tickets and never on the weekend before the holidays. PTV Sweden Velado sampled the crowds at the busiest hub for southbound provincial buses in this report.
Many passengers have started to leave for Bicol and Visayas this early to visit their departed loved ones and go on vacation for All Saints and All Souls Day and avoid heavy traffic of people this weekend.
Ayaw niyo pong sumabay na dun sa mga maraming tao sa mga susunod na araw?
Ayaw po eh. Ayaw namin.
Hindi na siguro, mahirap pagsiksikan eh.
Many of them, however, are now taking ordinary buses because the Araneta Center bus port, where air-conditioned buses are dispatched, has started to run out of tickets. But the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, has repeatedly reminded the public to book their trips in advance. The LTFRB and Araneta Center Bus Terminal and Port Management now work hand in hand to make sure that there will be no unnecessary increase in travel fares.
Sinusunod ng mga bus operators natin kung ano yung taripang prescribed ng LTFRB. They cannot go over that. Otherwise, it's really a violation.
Even prices of products sold at the bus terminals are strictly monitored. The Department of Trade and Industry has ordered vendors to put price tags on their products. Meanwhile, LTFRB also visited bus stations today to inspect bus conditions, particularly its tires, brakes, and lights. The Quezon City Police District is also present at Araneta Bus Terminal and Port to ensure peace and safety in the area. The bus terminal management again reminds the public to avoid bringing weapons, sharp objects, flammable items, and illegal drugs to enjoy a hassle-free travel. Sweden Velado for The Nation.
No matter how much one looks forward to flying the friendly skies, part of the journey, if the pre-flight ritual or ground phase is laden with aggravation, anxiety, and inconvenience, then the entire trip is ruined even before it's begun. Something people at the airport know full well and are committed to put an end to for the mass migration out of the Metro Manila for the Days of the Dead holidays. PTV's Clazel Pardilla reports.
As All Saints Day and also Safe Fast approach, the volume of passengers going to their provinces to commemorate Undas begin to increase, particularly in Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Just like Crush was born for Bacolod to visit the grave of her late grandparents.
Dito kami kasi uuwi kami sa Bacolod para sa Undas. Bibisitahin ko yung lola at lolo namin. Pupunta kami sa sementeryo. Doon kami magkaroon ng selebrasyon dahil nami-miss na sila namin.
Because of this, NAIA emphasized a contingency measure to meet the increased demand for more domestic and international flights.
We're expecting talaga na mas marami yung mag-uuwian ngayon. Yung 10% siguro kaya nating abutin yung increase ng pasahero compared last year.
Manila International Authority together with the Department of Transportation conducted an Oplan Biyaheng Ayos, which aims to organize a worsening situation in the terminal as this time of year.
Andyan yung mga tao natin na nakadeploy para kung ano man ang assistance na po pwede natin maibigay sa dami ng mga pasahero mag-aalisan ready tayo.
NAIA has increased number of their information desks for those who have travel queries. An operational desk was also established to monitor suspicious luggages as well as report and recover lost baggages. Medical desks, on the other hand, give free water, medicines, and even a blood pressure check. And for passengers who have complaints, passenger assistance rights can be accessed. Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police also pushed for Oplan Kaluluwa Lakbay Alalay. Cops conducted around-the-clock patrol to ensure security. MIA authorities advise the public to go to the airports 2 to 3 hours before their flights to ensure a convenient and smooth flight. Clazel Pardilia for The Nation.
It's practically a long weekend ahead as numerous employees opt to skip work on October 30th to go straight to their hometowns and remember their dearly departed. But this early, some early birds flock to the cemetery to avoid the All Saints' Day congestion. Ria Fernandez caught sight of these guys.
Everyone was busy sweeping and painting the tombs at Manila North Cemetery, while some were installing power lines. People we spoke with said it is now crunch time since they only have until Sunday, November 29, to do these things inside the Memorial Park.
Bilis-bilis na po ngayon. Medyo obligadong matapos kasi baka magsikip ng daan pagpasok po.
Also starting Sunday until November 2, the cemetery will temporarily prohibit interments. On the same period, it will be closed to any kind of vehicle. To make the visit hassle-free, some chose to pay respect to their late loved ones as early as now. Like Louie, who even dropped by to his idol FPJ's mausoleum.
Kasi hanggang 29 lang pwedeng pumasok yung sasakyan eh. Kaya nag-aangon. Tsaka para walang tao. Medyo maluwag pa.
And Ulat, who was with his whole family.
Nagana namin para sa ganun. Hindi kami magkasiksikan dito.
According to Daniel Tan, director of Manila North Cemetery, they expect the influx of people over the weekend. But the most number of it is seen by November 1 that could reach as high as 2 million.
Mas maganda po, mas maaga po silang dumalaw. Yung mga may edad, yung mga bata, para wag na po sila makipagsabayan sa November 1 dahil sa hirap po, dami pong tao.
Tan also advised public to check first their website, the location of tombs prior to visit. But they also have an information center near their entrance. He also reminded not to bring prohibited items inside, such as guns, sharp and deadly weapons, liquor, speakers, cards, pets, and flammable materials. Meanwhile, some roads in Manila near the graveyards will be closed from 12 midnight, November 1 to 5 in the morning, November 2. Ria Fernandez for The Nation.
Do you know that one of the formal statements for the founding of the ASEAN was the desire of the countries of the region to solve their own problems in their own way? But a few years later, the ASEAN opened up to linkages outside the region to maintain close and beneficial cooperation. The first formal ASEAN dialogue relationship was with Australia, established in 1974. Followed by another full dialogue partner, New Zealand, in 1975. During the 10th anniversary of the founding of the ASEAN in 1977, the ASEAN heads of the states agreed at the second summit in Kuala Lumpur that economic relations with other countries or groups of countries be expanded and intensified. This opened the doors to other dialogue partners. The economic aspect, common concerns later on expanded to global security and other transnational issues. No ASEAN, because it is all about you.
The nation's banking industry has been hit hard and left scrambling for answers after the $81 million bank heist of a Bangladesh central bank account in a New York bank in February last year. The money ultimately wound up in a private commercial bank in the country's central business district, which was the destination bank of choice by the cyber thieves who pulled off the robbery using merely the basic CPU, monitor, and keyboard tools. Now, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is set to lay out more stringent regulations mandating banks and other financial institutions to step up their digital security protocols, not only with the latest software upgrades, but also by raising the issue to the board of directors level and not merely an information technology matter. In so doing, the full force of bank resources and energies will ensure enough time and investments poured into the issue of cybercrime protection, BSP Governor Espinilla said. He added ownership and management should keep in mind the bad guys are always scheming to be a step or two ahead in pulling off their cyber criminal activities, so a hands-on participation with their information technology people is imperative. President Trump says he is very close to picking a person for the most important economic post in the country, the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve. Current Chair Janet Yellen, whose term expires early next year, is one of at least 5 candidates under consideration. Regardless of the president's choice, most analysts who spoke with VOA don't expect big changes in U.S. monetary policy. But as Mil Arcega reports, others say sooner or later the next Fed chief could face a slowing economy.
After nearly 4 years as the first woman to lead the U.S. Central Bank, Janet Yellen has distinguished herself as a steady, stable steward of the U.S. economy, says Tom Berkeley at Reuters Breaking Views.
Well, for most of the past 8 years, the Fed has been the main economic policy maker in Washington, and it's worked out relatively well. I mean, growth has not been spectacular, but it's been steady.
But with Yellen's term expiring in February, other candidates under consideration include Fed Governor Jerome Powell, a Republican appointee seen as a safe choice because he shares similar views to Yellen. There's also Stanford economist John Taylor and former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh, both believed to be more aggressive or hawkish when it comes to raising interest rates. The other is White House economic advisor and former investment banker Gary Cohn. Regardless of the pick, the next Fed chief is unlikely to make waves, says Ryan Sweet at Moody's Analytics.
If they come in and start signaling that they're going to be more aggressive on raising interest rates, first that would undermine growth and anchor inflation below the Fed's 2% target. But it's also going to rattle financial markets, and that would be disruptive to the economy as well.
But with the economic expansion now the third longest in U.S. history, some economists believe the next Fed chief could preside over the next recession.
In each of the past 2 recessions, the Fed has lowered the Fed funds rate by at least 500 basis points. So if we're starting at 300 basis points, that doesn't give the Fed a lot of room to cut interest rates.
While the Fed still has a few tools in its arsenal if a recession were to hit, some say another issue for the U.S. Central Bank is maintaining its independence in the age of Trump.
Because that's really a key part of having effective monetary policy, is having them have enough separation from both the administration as well as Congress to be able to focus on long-run economic goals, not on short-term government funding needs.
A second 4-year term for Yellen has not been ruled out. President Trump is expected to make his choice known before he leaves for Asia November 3rd.
Philippine share prices rebounded on the week's last day of trading. The Philippine Stock Exchange Index gained 28.03 points or 0.34% to 8,295.95. The broader all shares increased by 12.11 points or 0.25% to close at 4,857.56. More than 648.851 million shares valued at 4.603 billion pesos changed hands. There were 95 gainers and a similar number of losers, while 46 issues were unchanged. The Department of Interior and Local Government has a new undersecretary. Let's find out who the official is after this short break. Stay with us.
Patas, makatotohanan, mas pinaniniwalaan. Ang bago at pinalakas na PTV News. Araw-araw na komprehensibong balitaan mula umaga hanggang gabi. Masusing kinala ng buong puwersa ng PTV News Team. Hatid namin sa inyo para sa bayan.
fish are eating. So should you, anak.
Thank you.
You're welcome, anak.
What does anak mean?
It means my child.
Saysayan, likas na yaman, kasiyahan. Tara, samahan natin si Mayor Jerry Calderon at lakbayin ang magandang Pilipinas.
Sigla ng taong bayan at gobyernong matapat.
Makibarkada na at tumutok sa programa kung saan ang Pinoy ang laging bida. Buhay Pinoy!
This is what we want to do, build the largest mentorship base that will be able to help us to become sustainable and eventually grow.
It is my fervent hope that all ASEAN member states would continue to support local businesses that could make it easier for them to grow and contribute to the development of the entire region.
President Rodrigo Duterte has officially appointed retired AFP Chief Eduardo Año as Undersecretary of the Department of Interior and Local Government. Malacanang today released Año's appointment papers, which was signed yesterday. In a speech at yesterday's AFP change of command ceremony, President Duterte said he wanted to appoint Año as DILG Chief, adding, however, that this has to wait due to a one-year prohibition. Meanwhile, Malacanang denies any hand in drug-link claims against Senator Franklin Drilon and former DILG Secretary Mar Rojas. In his affidavit submitted to the La Carlota City Prosecutor's Office, Ricky Sereno, a confessed bagman of the Beria drug cartel, identified Drilon and Rojas as protectors of drug lord Melvin Odicta Sr. In a statement, the Office of the Presidential Spokesperson stressed that the Duterte administration is not involved in witch hunting. In other news, a partial stretch of turnpike linking one of the most prosperous suburbs of the megacity to the provinces of southern Luzon is now open to both vehicular, biker, and pedestrian traffic. Here's the full story from our Clazel Pardilia.
The Department of Public Works and Highways has formally opened Phase 2 of Laguna Lake Highway, also known as Circumferential Road 6 or C6. DPWH Secretary Mark Villar spearheaded the road opening together with Department of Transportation Secretary Arthur Tigade and other high-ranking officials of Taguig City government. Phase 2 of Laguna Lake has 1.3-kilometer additional two-lane roadway which covers provisions for plant strip, sidewalks, and drainage work. It is said that the full construction of this project will ease the traffic in the metro since commuters traveling to Taytay Rizal will no longer need to use EDSA or C5 road.
By the end of the year, matatapos itong side na to hanggang Bikutan.
Marami pang proyektong katulad nito ang papakinabangan natin sa ilalim ng administrasyon ng mahal nating Pangulo Rodrigo Roa Duterte.
Because of this, motorists from eastern side of Metro are pleased to be informed about the newly constructed alternative route.
Malilesen po yung traffic namin dito, especially pag pupunta po kami ng Pasig, sobrang tagal po talaga ng biyahe.
Bilang commuter, nararamdaman ko na maluwag yung kasada natin doon at masarap na dumaan doon ngayon.
The government also took pride in unveiling the first stretch of a bicycle lane, making Laguna Lake Highway the first to have a 3-meter wide road space for bikers and joggers.
Pinapasinayan natin yung tinatawag na healthy mode of transport. Ito ho ang kahulugan ng ating bike lane.
Siguro kung magbabike ako, dun ako mag-exercise. Mas maganda, mas maginawa.
Phase 3 of this project is expected to be operational in August next year. The estimated 140 million expressway is part of the Build, Build, Build program of the Duterte administration. Clazel Perdilia for The Nation.
It's another peak season for flowers as All Saints and All Souls Days are nearing. Those who do not have the luxury of time to buy bouquets for their beloved dead may run the risk of paying too high if they purchase within the vicinity of cemeteries and memorial parks. But for the thrifty, Rhea Fernandez checks out the prices in Dangwa for a much better buy.
Some prefer buying flowers for All Souls and All Saints Day as early as possible. They say number of people at this time is relatively not as much as the peak days and it will also cost them less.
Pag sa province mas mahal, so dito na ako namili. Bukas sigurado mas mahal.
As of now, there is no increase yet on the prices of flowers in Dangwa. But according to some vendors we spoke with, expect rates to double starting this weekend. Much more when Undas gets nearer.
Ngayon araw, ano lang yan, yung hindi pa masyadong malakas, para mga 28, 29, okay na yun, mas malakas na yun ang bintahan.
So this weekend.
Pero iba ng presyo yun.
Flower prices inside the center is slightly expensive compared outside. 50 to 250 pesos for flowers with vase and basket. 80 to 160 pesos for a dozen of Malaysian mums depending on color and thickness of flower. Carnation 120 to 170 pesos per dozen depending on color. Gerbera 170 pesos 10 pieces. Bundle of orchids 500 pesos and up. Dozen of roses 150 pesos and up. While flower stand or corona is 1,000 to 2,000 pesos. Baskets are also available worth 20 to 50 pesos and foams 30 pesos. Aside from being an early bird, vendors advise public to have a trusted supplier who can give a low price and to receive orders beforehand to save money. Rhea Fernandez for The Nation.
The island that fire and fury created. Northern Mindanao's pride and joy of surf, sand, spray and shade that rivals the fine white powder and crystal clear turquoise waters of Palawan and the 24/7 party island of Boracay. If that's the main dish, better check out the appetizers and after entree course inland in this report from Diane Carrere.
The island born on fire. This is how Camiguin is known to many. Now, if you wonder if Camiguin is just a small, quiet, and boring island, then you haven't seen enough. The new campaign ad of Camiguin Tourism Office entitled No Words erases these wrong connotations. The viral tourism ad shows a female tourist talking over the phone with her friend, complaining on what she will do alone in the island of Camiguin.
Naku, friendship! Ano ba naman ito pinagtapunan mo sa akin? Ang liit-liit, ang tahimik, ang boring, wala akong kasama.
But then, when she accidentally bumps into a tourist guide, she starts to experience her great adventure in the island. From riding a small plane to wading in one of the beautiful falls of Camiguin. Plus, eating sea urchins and seafoods. Road tripping via motorcycle.
Basta kung may mangyari sa akin, kasalanan mo, ha? Hindi ko nga alam kung saan ako dadalhin nito. Ay, naku, trust me, maganda dyan.
And joining the festivity in the Lanzones Festival. She also did a nature trip and relaxed in the crystal clear sea in the island. After her trip, the female tourist suddenly became speechless, as indeed, no words could describe her experience in Camiguin Island.
Fred, kamusta? Ano masasabi mo sa Camiguin? Uy, ano na? Ba't di ka na makapagsalita? magsalita. Hello? Hoy.
The viral ad gained a lot of praises from the netizens, saying that they felt the beauty and fun of Camiguin Island. The ad has gained more than 500,000 views since it has been launched last October 22. Bayan for The Nation.
The group of Chef de Mission Mansour Del Rosario is now preparing for the Philippine hosting of the 2019 Southeast Asian Games. This is the second time the former Taekwondo Olympian will be handling the event as CDM of Team Philippines after a successful campaign of the national squad at the 2017 Asian Indoor and Martial Arts Games in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. The full details from Marian Malyare.
To organize the pre-Southeast Asian Games. This is just one of the plans of the Philippine Chef de Mission Mansour Del Rosario's team for the hosting of the 30th SEA Games by the Philippines in the year 2019. Del Rosario pointed out the need to test the country's readiness in hosting the pre-SEA Games, and there are plans to invite foreign athletes before the 30th biennial event.
So we wanted to do a couple of aquatic sports, ball sports, racket sports, combat sports, and athletics on separate occasions. And if it's running well, like we'll invite a couple of countries, come time 2019 SEA Games, we'll be ready, at least on the venue preparation, and then we can gauge our opponent.
As former athlete, Del Rosario pointed out the needs of national athletes to prepare for the SEA Games, first of which is a decent training center, proper nutrition, foreign exposures, and a good training program.
We can give them what they need, I'm sure. We can. I'm not promising you guys will be #1. I'm hoping to be in the top 3. 2005 is different from 2019. The games have changed, the people have changed, you know, the experiences are different, technology has changed. I'm not saying okay, but what I'm saying is we have a fighting chance.
Meanwhile, Commissioner Arnold Agustin assured that the Philippine Sports Commission is ready to meet the needs of Team Philippines.
Binanggit ni Congressman Mansour Del Rosario, nandun po sa programa ng PSC yung construction and renovation of existing sports facilities within international standard. Yun. Lahat po yun nasa programa na po ng PSC. Kasama rin po yun sa ating programa ng PSC regarding sa hosting, sa preparation natin sa 2019 SEA Games. At dadagdagan natin yung budget nila, especially yung mga bata, magkakaroon na sila ng proper nutrition.
2019 will be the 4th opportunity of the Philippines to host the SEA Games. The last time Team Philippines was able to bring home the overall championship was in 2005. Aryan Malyare for The Nation.
The 2017 Philippine Basketball Association season may not be over yet, but Phoenix is already looking forward to the 2018 season with a new coach. The Fuel Masters named Louis Alas as their new mentor, replacing Ariel Vanguardia. Quezon Sean reports.
Multi-titled collegiate coach Louis Alas is all set to face new challenges in his coaching career. The 54-year-old Alas has already accepted the coaching gig for Phoenix Fuel Masters, which was vacated by Ariel Vanguardia. Alas admits that while it is hard to leave the camaraderie forged with the Alaska Aces, it is not that easy to turn his back on the rare occasion of being head coach in the PBA.
Sa tingin ko kasi sa sarili ko, medyo hindi na rin ako bata, and gusto na rin ng mga anak ko, especially yung 2 youngest kid ko, si Kenneth saka si Keeper. Dad, sabi niya, matagal ka nang hindi nag-head coach, pero Frank ba? Sabi ko, parang it's about time na mag-head coach ko ulit.
Meanwhile, Alas considers the upcoming rookie draft as a jump-off point of his Phoenix coaching stint.
Not major, kasi tingin ko to mga 3 pieces away para maging competitive do sa upper bracket ng PBA. So mga 3 pieces, at tingin ko makakakuha ko ng 1 or 2 sa draft. So, 1 or 2 na lang kung talagang kailangan. Dagdagan maging 4 yung pieces na pwede mong i-inject.
This is the second head coaching job of Alas in the PBA, after the one-season stint with the Mobiline Phone Pals in 2002. Kay Asuncion for The Nation.
Joint Task Force Ranao will spearhead reconstruction and rehabilitation efforts in war-torn Marawi City. Government operatives arrest a suspected Mauti ISIS financer in Quezon City. The provincial exodus for the annual remembrance of the dead starts. President Rodrigo Duterte officially appoints retired AFP Chief Eduardo Año as Undersecretary of the Department of Interior and Local Government.
And it's going to be a long weekend for a lot of people who are going home early for the holidays for the dead. And I just hope that you guys can fix your vehicles before you head out. Those were the most significant stories for the day. I'm Richmond Cruz with Charms Espina.
With 59 days left to go before Christmas, this is News Headlines. Thanks for watching.